like she's like her father, and that's the last thing she wants to do. So this is Jill, and you have an idea of Bill. His faith is very strong, so he'd like to reveal something to her. Now, what he reveals is what I wish I would have had a chance to say to the real Jill, but I missed the chance, and so I had to write it in this book. Anyway, Jill does have friends, and those friends are friends that he doesn't really accept. I mean, Bill she didn't accept originally because she thought he betrayed her. And her niece, the same thing. And her grandmother, well, her grandmother was a dear old lady, but she's kind of way off in the distance. And her sister, well, her sister had run away from home, or Jill had. Her sister was a chicken. She couldn't really believe in her sister either. And then there's one other person that's absolutely critical to Jill's well-being, but she cannot face even admitting that he exists.
Again, here on the line with Ken Saik. We're discussing his fantastic book, Helping Hands, available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, or directly through his personal site, author KenSaik.com. You know, Ken, thank you very much for that excerpt, and it truly does illuminate so much with regards to the characters. And, you know, a question that I have, and really a curiosity for myself, Ken, clearly we know, as you've stated, because of a relationship that you've had with a close friend, this book was developed and the idea was created. Now, talk to us about inspiration. What inspired you to embark upon this journey, comprise this book? Why did you feel the public would be able to benefit from the message that you were trying to relay?
Well, I think the real heart of this is that an awful lot of people think that they can solve their own problems. Certainly that was the case with Jill because she couldn't trust anybody. And what she has to learn is that that's not the case. And the bottom of the line, and that's really the heart of what's even shown in Baggage Burdens, it really doesn't matter how hard you try to help someone. If they're not ready to hear what you've got to say, nothing's going to happen. Now, in Helping Hands, Jill had hit rock bottom. She had the absolute worst of everything that could happen to her. She had no choice. She knew she had to start looking to and listening to other people. That started her on her road of healing. Healing with her eldest son, healing with her sister, healing with her mother, and maybe healing with her father if she could really buy the truth. And then a relationship with Bill, the guy she thought she couldn't trust but is learning otherwise. Mm-hmm. There's a real reward in connecting with people. It's like your strength doubles and triples over and over again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and that's really where I wanted to go next. Now, of course, there is a lot of options that we've already discussed in terms of resources that we have available, other people being one. In this instance, Bill was that reassuring force for her. Took some time for her to trust him and lower those guards, but that was definitely someone she was able to lean on. Now, in addition to that, Bill, of course, brings in his religion, and then God is incorporated into the mix. Now, I'm curious, Ken, because whenever anybody goes to your Amazon, Barnes & Noble page, your personal website, they start to do any research on the book, in the moment that three-letter word, God, comes into play, as human beings are naturally accustomed to doing, they'll formulate preconceived notions. So I want to give you the opportunity to either dispel any narratives or to double down. In your opinion, Ken, do you feel that this is a book that is specifically geared for religious readers, or anyone, regardless of religious background or belief, would be able to pick up the book and find value in the words?
Well, I listened to a reviewer, and that's exactly what the reviewer had said, and that is that while faith is an important component in the book, what is more stressed is the relationships that you have with friends and with family and how much they can do for you. And that is, I think, the absolute key. Even if you've had turmoils with them, it's surprising how they can come to your help and your aid and bring things around for you. And that's probably a really good eye-opener in this book.
Guys, isn't that something that we just love to discuss here at People of Distinction? I mean, we are constantly talking about our human family and how we are all connected, and things are a lot better when we come together. We're able to overcome obstacles and break down barriers through unity. And I love that this is the message that's being preached here, because it fits directly with our ideology here at People of Distinction. Ken, as we start to tie out, as we start to close down this fantastic interview, what would you say was a highlight for you in writing the book? Or if not a highlight, maybe something that surprised you that you weren't expecting prior to embarking upon the journey?
Well, I would say the real highlight was the pre-research, the information that this character had revealed to me that really explained why she was the kind of person she was. And that, to a large extent, is what is really shown in the book called Baggage Burdens. So if you really want to have, the listeners really want to have a good understanding of Jill and how and why she behaved the way she did and how it affected her family and how it affected her children, then I would encourage the listeners to look to getting a special deal on Black Friday. The deal is, email me, I'll give you the code word, and you can get the book, Baggage Burdens, for free. The email is callingkensaik at gmail.com. Callingkensaik at gmail.com. I'd really like to see that people have a good understanding of the kind of damage that an alcoholic parent can do to a child. And it's not just the child then, but the child for 30 years, and the child is then have a family, and it hurts the husband, it hurts the friends, and it hurts the children. And so, while Jill was very strong-willed and she tried to overcome it, it was a roller coaster ride.
Fantastic.
That's an important thing to know and understand. If nothing else, it would give people who are in that position the backbone to say, hey, go for help. Whether it's AA, whether it's another friend, whatever, go for help.
You know, Ken, those are fantastic words of advice. And, that was a question that I wanted to go into as well. So if there's any other words of wisdom that you can offer, we know that a lot of times the trauma that we experience in our early childhood years or in our developmental years stay with us. And those scars are apparent years down the line, as is the case with your main protagonist. Things that were done to her when she was very young cause her then, as an adult, to have a difficult time connecting with individuals, right? Those scars are still very, very prevalent. Ken, during your research, during your discussions that you had with the real life person that the character Jill is based upon, what did you discover that you could relate to our listening audience now? Of course, listen, reaching out, resources are available. People that are around you, your support system. We know religion and reaching out to a higher force, in this instance, God, could be a resource that is always readily available for you. But anything else outside of that you may be able to relate to our listening audience, anybody that has those scars that they're trying to really break down and overcome, how does someone go about doing that?
Well, I'll tell you, then I had the revelation from this particular person about her reaction to praying and Father. It really prompted me to go and have a talk with a pastor to say, how can I attempt to reach a person like that? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that came out in the conversation was, it's the term Father, which has connotations that are negative. Don't use it.
Absolutely.
All right? God might be one. If they're more in tune with Jesus and what he did, and they see him as a loving entity, then use that name and that person to bring them around to look at and say, here's who you can turn to. Now, from my standpoint, and I'm saying it from a faith standpoint because that's where I do come from, and I can honestly say I've always looked to the Lord to support me, always. Mm-hmm. And that was even when I was teaching. That was even when I was teaching a particular class or I had to reach a particular student. How do I reach that person? And a lot of times I didn't know. But as Bill will say, there are times I find words were put in my mouth that I hadn't even expected. And boy, did they ever hit home. So I would say that for people who have a faith background and they're looking at what and how you can share, I really like that aspect of the book. But it's not the only thing that's really good, but it is a real positive from that standpoint that I like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great words of wisdom. Guys, everything that he said. But going back to the first thing, really it boils down to understanding. I mean, from a standpoint of if you are trying to assist someone else overcome the tragedies and the scars that they've developed, understanding triggers, right? Understanding trigger words are so important because, of course, your intent may be in the right place, but the slightest word that you say can instantly take them back to that experience. So trigger words are so important to be fully aware of and to understand on this journey. Guys, listen, so much more can still be said. Nothing else is going to be, okay? You know what you have to do. I've said it a number of times already. I know you're already there, but I'm going to re-impress it for you one last time. Here in the line with Ken Saik, we're discussing his fantastic book, Helping Hands, available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, but directly through his personal site, authorkensaik.com, to gather all of the information and make sure that you're looking in and taking advantage of the Black Friday promotion that he already discussed, so that this way you can gather the companion book that goes along with Helping Hands for free. So take advantage of that Black Friday promotion. I know I will. Ken, this has been truly an honor, and your words of wisdom were so beneficial. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
It was my pleasure. I always love talking about my books.